Okay, Rashawn, do you want to start it off?
Okay, I'll start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our last session for Careers in Manufacturing and Engineering Employer Sessions. We are so happy to have you here, and I see some familiar names. So, thank you so much for joining us again. Some of you may be quite new, especially those from the Imperial Valley County. Welcome. In case you don't already know, October is actually Manufacturing Month. Hence, we would like to take the opportunity to share with you the different types of manufacturing companies we have in San Diego and Imperial counties, as well as the career journeys of our fantastic presenters today to help you understand more about the manufacturing and engineering field. My name is Rashawn, and I serve as a liaison between community colleges and employers in our regions with focus on advanced manufacturing. Like some of our presenters, I used to be an engineer and spent the majority of my work and school life in manufacturing. So I'm very passionate about that. But then 2 years ago, I decided to take the leap of faith and step into the world of education. Before I let my awesome partner and colleague, Monica Rosas, give us a very quick overview of the announcement and introduce our employers, I want to say that for those who are attending, especially students and educators, we have raffle prizes that's being sponsored by Autodesk. To qualify though, you will have to have at least attended at least 2 of our sessions of the 4 sessions and stay for at least 25 minutes. That's about one employer session. So, okay, Monica, I'll let you take the rest.
Thank you. Welcome again, everybody. We're super excited for our 4th and final employer session. My name is Monica Rosas, and I work for the San Diego and Imperial Community Colleges Regional Consortium. I, like Rashawn, help. We put together events for educators and students in different sectors. Advanced manufacturing is one of them. So very quickly, we'll go over a couple of announcements. So this is our agenda for the next hour. Right now we're in opening remarks, and we have 2 amazing employers or companies presenting today, General Atomics and the Imperial Irrigation District. After each of the presentations, each employer will have about 20-25 minutes. We will open it for Q&A. So on that, you guys will see in your control bar, you have the chat and the Q&A function. We encourage you to ask your questions via the Q&A button. And if you have a question that's very similar to one that's already been asked, you can upvote the question by clicking that little thumbs up emoji. And that way they'll go up in a priority list and we can get to them faster. If we can't get to all the questions, do not worry. We always send a recap email, and we're actually going to send in this last recap email all of the recording sessions, along with questions that we couldn't answer live. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our first company, which is General Atomics ASI, or Aeronautical Systems Incorporated. We have 3 amazing speakers from General Atomics. Lazaro Herrera, who is the Senior Mechanical Engineer. We wanted to give a little spin to today's session, so we also have Marta Castillo. That way you guys also hear about the different jobs within manufacturing and engineering. She's a customer engagement lead, more on the marketing side of the business. And then we also have Vanessa Swope, who's a Senior Engineer Manager. Take it away, Lazaro, and you guys just let me know because I'm sharing the screen. Just say next slide and I'll move it along.
Right, so you should be seeing the General Atomics overview page right now. Thank you, Monica, for that wonderful introduction for General Atomics. So General Atomics was founded in 1955, and it's headquartered right here in San Diego. It was part of General Dynamics at one point, but they split off, and they specialize in technology development. We also have several different divisions. DIASAM, which deals with healthcare, and we do energy and electromagnetic systems. So if you Google General Atomics, you will see all the various locations in worldwide, as well as here in San Diego. Products that we actually work on for ASI in particular. Some of you, next slide, please. Some of you might have seen the movie Terminator Dark Fate. and you saw a drone essentially pinpointing an individual as they were walking. Well, that's one of the products that we work with, and it's called the UAV, Unmanned Aircraft Vehicle, or RPA, Remote Piloted Aircraft. And this is the type of stuff that you will see. You'll see the ground control system, and you'll see the diagrams, paper drawings on Creo or SolidWorks, whatever project, and you'll see the radar on the actual screens monitors. Next slide, please. We also do a lot of cybersecurity. We do and create supplier portals. We help and work with small business programs. We have supplier recognition efforts, and we have a lot of information about terms and conditions and certificates to work with international customers. We focus heavily on supplier quality because all the products that we actually bring in, we want to make sure that they're functional and will last and will be beneficial. So next slide, really quick. Careers at GA in general, you can go to General Atomics GAcareers.com and you will find information about the careers in the portal. So if you see that, you'll see marketing, you'll see intern, you'll see human resources, you'll see general engineering components, and that's what you will see. So next slide.
Okay.
Okay. And then now I would like to introduce to you Marta Castillo.
Hello, everyone. I'm just going to put my time here so I talk good minutes here. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. And yeah, I love this great slide that I think was Monica who did it. I don't know who did it. It's wonderful. It was not me. I want to say it's the credit for her. So I just want to, you're going to see here how was my journey of my career and how I get where I am right now. Yeah, it was Monica. So, I started, okay, so I grew up and I was raised in Tijuana, Mexico. I'm Mexican and American. I have the two nationalities. So when I started at Castillo in 1989. Please don't take a look a lot on the time because you're going to see how old I am. But at that time, I was 19 years old. And I started with the career of accounting and finance. And really, my English was not very good. I know it was hard for me. It was challenging for me, but I finished. And accounting was not that difficult. And also to use the language because it was just numbers. So I became the best student because I was not asking questions. I already know how to use the numbers. I don't know, but it was so, for me, was so motivated that I won, all the students that they have. And this was in San Diego. So I was commuted from Mexico to go to school in here to college. Very, very important. Since I'm coming from parents that they are not finished middle school. So for me, it was very, very challenging. It was very good to make this goal happening. Then in between, you see my other, when I started working as an accountant in different companies that I'm not having it over here. But I feel like it was not what I want because I like to be with people. I like to talk to people, analyze people. The numbers was not for me. So I changed in my career to bachelor's in marketing. So there you go, another 4 years it was not 4 years because I already have some classes. So it was not all the 4 years, but so I just changed careers, and that happens because I was working in Sony Electronics. I worked there for 10 years, and I saw the importance that it was the career path, to have another career to be better of what I was doing. I was working in business development, and I was the executive of the president. And I saw all these executives and how, going to school and prepare and do more as a career development that's going to make me go, you know, go up and up and be more prepared to talk to people that is prepared and to go to companies that are very good on different different paths or more big, like, I don't know, I want to go to Microsoft, I want to go, you know, like big companies. Sony is a big company. So it was my 10 years, very good years. I learned a lot. And that's when I do my marketing, my bachelor of marketing, and then I do my master's. Imagine how motivated I was that I do my master's too, because I was like, I have to do more. So after I finished with that, Sony has like they laid off almost like 50% of the people. So that's when I landed into General Atomics. General Atomics, a company that works for the government. So totally different than Sony. So in General Atomics, what I do, and I call it the fun entertainment job that I have, I am the one who is in charge of taking the customers, big customers, generals from the Air Force, senators, I have congressmen, I have celebrities coming up, high-end people coming to the company, and I'm the one who create all the coordination of them coming in, you know, the hotels, the restaurants, where they're coming in, how we're going to show them the manufacturing floor. So I have to coordinate a tour for all these customers that are coming, because they're coming to buy airplanes, aircraft. Our department where I am at, the marketing is for the aircraft, for for the aircraft, because we have other different companies in the company, I want to say. So my development on the career, my masters totally helped me, make me different. I can chat and talk directly with the senators. I can go and talk to them. I can, you know, if they have questions, I can tell them. So working for the company makes me grow more, even more, because of the people that I'm meeting, for the people that I'm talking. And I always, in my story, if you see, I was in Ogden, I was in Sony and General Atomics a lot of years. You can see I've been in General for 5 years. I have always dealt with engineers, because one is electronics, some of them are from environment, you know, so I always deal with engineers. I know it's different than other marketing, where it's more like celebrities and pictures and blah blah. This is different one. This is more serious. But my part in the company is very important, because I am the one who they see first. I'm the one who engagement. I'm the one who make them feel welcome, and I'm the one almost to say, here, sign, buy it. So it's very motivated to work there. It's very good to work there. The people are incredible, and like I say, it's a lot of people from the Air Force, and a lot of good people, and prepare. Like almost everybody, they have to have a bachelor's, and a lot of them have a master's. So it's that's like my story. I know I have just 7 minutes, so I'm on time, and hopefully you like it.
Thank you. We'll move on. And if anyone has questions around marketing, please feel free to add those into the Q&A. And now we'll move into Vanessa's career journey.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Marta, for your great story. I will try to follow and also set my timer. So I have actually been at General Atomics for 15 years now. It's actually my 15th year work anniversary this past Saturday. So I basically went to UCSD as I got an electrical engineering bachelor's, and I actually, funny story or funny thing, I almost got a minor in dance, but I didn't do that just because I thought maybe it wasn't going to look that great in the resume or when getting a job. But now I kind of regret it, and I wish I would have done that. So bottom line is, my years at UCSD were great. I really enjoyed the school and the community, and it's definitely something that, motivates me because, as being a woman engineer, even in the school, you can tell right away that there's really not very many people that look like you. So it's quite a journey to think about, because you look around and you're like, okay, everyone's male or everyone is not, Hispanic. And so it's kind of puts you in a spot where you're like, okay, might put a little bit of pressure, but at the same time, it's like challenging. And so I encourage, any of the STEM fields for sure, to all the students here, because it's so challenging. There's always something new to learn. Even now, as I've moved on to being an engineering manager, there's always different challenges. So I really highly recommend that. And then UCSD and then other local San Diego schools and universities are great. I actually, right out of high school, I went into community college, Mesa. I went to Mesa College and City College as well, just because I wanted to get as many classes in as possible through the summer and stuff. And sometimes Mesa didn't offer it. So there's a lot of opportunities. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm gonna, go straight to a 4-year university. I actually saved a lot of money that way, because of the fact that, my parents didn't go to, didn't graduate from school, didn't have, jobs other than, picking up people's trash. And that's what I remember, my parents working many, many jobs, my mom working at a daycare. And so my parents always encouraged us, my sister and I, to, just look into achieving our goals. And definitely it really helped that by going to community college first, it helped kind of ground me and really focus on, or actually even focus on trying to decide, because deciding what you want to do, it's quite a challenge. Some people have it right away, and I envy them. I've met a lot of, students that are in high school and they're like, oh, I know this is what I want to do. And that's great and more power to you. But I think I wanted to be a vet or something when I was in high school. And obviously that's not what I am today. So, things change in your life and pivot, right? So I recommend, if you feel like, okay, I'm not going to make it to that 4-year university, don't discourage yourself. Don't think that is a bad thing. That's just a redirection for you. You'll save money. You'll be able to take all those gen ed courses while you're there. And then when you get to the university that you want to go to, like I did with UCSD, that's where I really focused my time in achieving my goal of being an electrical engineer. So at General Atomics, I've been in a somewhat the same role back and forth. I started off as a system safety and reliability engineer. Again, this is not a role that you study for in college. So it was one of those things that I just bumped into by accident. But it's been a great role, and it's a very small niche, very small community in the nation of reliability and safety engineers. So it's not as competitive as every other role that you think of just being a design engineer, mechanical engineer, manufacturing engineer, but it's great that way. But you do get to work with everyone that I kind of listed. So it was good to me. I did it for 5 years, and then I tried something else within General Atomics, which was project and systems engineering. And that allowed me to grow in the leadership skill set, which I thought I wasn't, cut out to be when I first started GA. So, looking to that transition between just being an independent contributor to someone that is leading a team, leading a project, that really helped expand my view of what else is out there for people that, you think, okay, I can't get into this role. There's so many opportunities, and, you just need to see them when they come to you. So when I got a call back from a previous supervisor saying, hey, we want you to come back to system safety, I did. And that was that was a really good move in my part. And I think back to it, when I had just come back from maternity leave, I think it was, and a lot of my work had been taken or given to somebody else, and I felt kind of lost, and I felt like I didn't have anything to contribute. So and then that phone call came. So it was kind of a perfect moment to go back to system safety. And now I lead the entire organization. So it's kind of overwhelming at times to think that, that I am the manager for all these people, and I have to make the decision for all these people and manage all the people. And there's so many personalities, so many different obstacles that you don't think about when you're an independent contributor or when you're in school and when you're in high school. So there's a lot of transitions, but I think all in all, you know, working at General Atomics, like Marta stated, you know, the people are great, the community is great, the culture is great, and you know, just working with both Marta and Lazaro throughout, you know, this past year and the challenges that we've been through, I think we've all kind of grown together, and you know, we're really excited about being able to help and talk to people, you know, anyone in high school or college or whatever you guys need support with. So thank you, Monica, and thank you, Roshan, for having us.
Thank you. We're gonna move into Q&A for General Atomics. We don't see any in the Q&A, but Roshan and I have a couple. Is it okay if I ask the first one, Roshan?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Vanessa, you manage a team of engineers. What type of skills do you look for in an engineer or an employee?
Sure. Yeah, so this past year, we've actually hired about, oh, sorry, that was my timer. We've hired about 7 or 8 engineers, and about, I think it was half of them or a little bit more, were all right out of college. So because our group kind of supports all engineering and manufacturing, backgrounds are anything really, anything with engineering background. So we have mechanical engineers, software engineers, electrical engineers. You know, I'm an electrical engineer, and then some of my peers are too, but some of them are mechanical or aerospace engineers. So from technical ability, you know, whatever engineering field you're in, that is, you know, will qualify you. But we also have to look for things because we're kind of a systems engineering field. We liked, you know, people that are not wanting to focus on one thing, because you have to look at things at the highest level. You have to look at what the aircraft effects or system effects are. So we're basically looking at everything that could potentially fail in any of the designs that the design teams do. But yeah, short answer is, you know, any of the fields would qualify, and, you know, mostly people that are, you know, have a passion for aerospace. It really, really helps. I think that's really helped a lot of the people in my team. They have a lot of passion for aerospace and supporting, you know, our government contracts.
And if I may jump in also, this is Lazaro. For all the young students, I don't know, community college and high school students, I don't know how well you have your resume or if you've structured your resume. I'm pretty sure you've heard that word before, and you probably should start working and fine-tuning it. Add those soft skills as far as communication, writing, you know, making sure that you know how to be flexible and adaptable. Look at the job postings from various corporations that you're probably interested in. If you know anybody from any of the corporations that you like, for example, if you're interested in General Atomics, for example, go ahead and search for us, connect with us via LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, I would compare it to Facebook as social media for professionals. Look for people that work at those various industries, connect with them and say, hey, you know, I'm interested in possibly having you review my resume. Can I submit it to you? And ask politely. And more than likely, those individuals will say, yes, go ahead and send it over to me. I'll take a look at it and send it back to you with some comments. So that's a little insight as to how you can establish a relationship that will benefit you in the long run. You're not necessarily asking for a job, but you're asking for feedback, and you're asking for constructive criticism of your resume. And your resume will be your ticket to getting a position into the corporation that you're seeking. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lazaro. And that's such a good point. And thank you, Vanessa. I do have maybe one or two more questions. One question for Marta. Marta, are you ready? It would be, what is your job like? What is your day-to-day like? You mentioned that you work with a lot of engineers, different departments. So can you describe just a day in your life?
Okay, so one of the most important engineers that we work for are the people that are in charge of the strategic development international. There's, I'm going to say, we have the Netherlands from the Air Force, coming in because they want to buy some of our airplanes. So what I do is I have various meetings with them to make sure that like, for example, the day of the visit, like I already talked to them. We have an agenda. We need to know where they're coming in, when they are arriving. We are the ones who take care of them since they are arriving to the airport. So we have like a transportation limo for them waiting there, like we're with security because of the type of people that they are. They're coming in, we take them to the hotel that we are the one who reserve the hotel for them, because we have to make sure that they're coming and everything is secure, because you don't know, something happened, it's going to be our fault, so we have to be very careful. Like I have the information of everybody that is coming, because like I tell you, sometimes I even have the Prince of Dubai, I think, was coming in. So there's a lot of protocol, very important, that we have to take care. So that day, I wake up at 5 o'clock and I'm like crazy. And I always want to be in the hotel when they arrive, because I want to see that they arrive and they didn't go to another place. So they arrive, and then I go into the office, and let's say the meetings of the briefings that the company is going to do starts at 8 a.m. So I wait for them there, and then they come in, and I start like kind of the coordination. They have presentations. We have the conference room. The conference room have breakfast, everything for them to make, everything easier. Then we go to the tours that we have a shuttle. Well, right now it's not working because of, pandemic, but we have a shuttle because we have approximately 35 buildings. Tell me, I think, Vanessa, that's the number. So we use sometimes 3 buildings, 4 buildings to do tours. The manufacturing, we have a couple of buildings for manufacturing. So we do the tours.
We actually have 41, Marta.
Oh,
Wow.
I stay in the 35, yeah. So 44. Yeah, I know. All over Poway, all over, yeah. So we take it there, and sometimes they ask to see the aircraft fly. So we have to go to our airport, and we fly in our private jets, and we fly with them, and we fly into our place where they can see our aircraft flying. And then the same day we return. I mean, imagine everything is in one day. The same day we return, and then, they go, and then we have a dinner with them, to make sure they have questions and stuff. And this is including the CEO, the president, all the high level people. And then, my day is done at 9 or 10 p.m. But these people are already buying, aircrafts, so
they're VIP.
Totally. And we already know, that. But that's the kind of a job that I do. This is kind of a PR coordination protocol job for the company. That's how, that's a day.
That's so exciting.
That's awesome.
It is
That's
exciting.
awesome.
And I always with heels.
Oh my God.
That's
I have to
awesome,
look
Marta.
good,
That's awesome.
So,
Even on the manufacturing floor?
even in the manufacturing floor, yeah, don't ask me. Yeah, I have to do massage after that, but I have to look good, and you have to look, presentable, good with them. So, and
Thank
every
you.
country is
Really quick,
different. We have to know everything.
We had a
Go ahead.
question from a person from the audience asking about internships for General Atomics. We do have those. You can definitely go, and Vanessa responded saying that you can create a portal essentially at gacareers.com and go to that website, look for internships. Very important to note, we do require you to be a U.S. citizen in order for the internship application to go through. And we accept community college students as well as university students. So unfortunately, there is no high school opportunities at this time. But
thank you, Lazaro.
Thank you, Vanessa. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think that we are on time for the next company, but keep the questions coming. We might be able to answer more from General Atomics a little bit after Ismael's presentation. Thank you so much, Vanessa, Marta, and Lazaro. Go ahead, Rashawn, and introduce Ismael.
Yes, thank you so much, General Atomics. We really appreciate you. Okay, so next one, we have an employer from the Imperial Valley County. So Monica and I tried so hard to try to locate an employer that would fit in our careers in manufacturing and engineering session. And we thank goodness we were able to find someone. And today we are so honored actually to have Ismael Gomez. Hopefully I didn't butcher your name. To join us today, and he's actually an electrical engineer, a systems operations energy department. So without further delay, I'm going to have Ismael give us his overview of the company and career journey.
Thank you, Rushan. So like Rushan said, I'm from the Imperial Irrigation District, and here's a little brief history on the Imperial Irrigation District. I know, like you mentioned, there's not a lot of engineering jobs down here. We have Cal Energy and we have Imperial Irrigation District. Then most of the other jobs are either in law enforcement, via customs or border patrol. So thank you for the opportunity. So Imperial Irrigation District was formed in 1911. The district delivers water to nearly 500,000 acres. Water is diverted at the Imperial Dam on the Colorado River through the 80-mile-long All-American Canal. Of the water delivered, 98% is used for agriculture. We are an agriculture town. Or valley, and the remaining percent is delivered to 9 of the Imperial Valley cities. And IED is the largest irrigation district in the nation and ranks them on top of 10 agricultural counties in the nation. Next slide, please. So IED has a presented perfected right to 2.6 million acre feet of water annually, and IED entered the power industry in 1936. So we do, not only do we do water, but we do energy. So IED serves electricity to more than 150,000 customers in Imperial County, and parts of Riverside and San Diego counties. So some of the electrical resources in the ID service area include hydroelectric, solar, photovoltaic, geothermal, gas, and battery storage. Next slide, please. And so like I mentioned before, we do have two sides of the business. So we have the energy side and we have the water side. So on the energy side, we do rates and regulations, new construction, vegetation management, rooftop solar, transmission access. We do renewable energy. We have to stay compliant to NERC, FERC, and WEC. And on the water side, we do interconnections with agricultural customers, rules and regulations on the water side, municipal, industry, and commercial. We service customers, water transportation system, water supply, water conservation, solvency, conservation, commercial and residential developments also. Next slide, please. So some of the types of the careers at IID. So they're not. If you search, like I said earlier, there's not a lot of jobs here at the Imperial Valley in engineering, but IID does offer a lot of engineering jobs that most people are not aware of. So we do have electrical engineering careers that are used here in the IID. So for example, you could work in our substation group, you could work in our transmission and planning engineering group, you could work in our protections group, you could work in the operations group, which is where I'm at. We also have computer engineering, which is on the EMS side, that works hand in hand with your operations engineers, structural engineering and civil engineering that are on the water side, and sometimes help the electrical side, so designing bridges, designing new canals, new water structures. We also have electricians, so anytime there's a problem, we had really high winds the last couple of days, and we sent out our journeymans, our electricians out there to fix the problems that we encountered due to the high winds. And these are some jobs that it can go from requiring a BS electrical engineering or some type of engineering discipline to just having a high school degree with some college courses. For example, electrician, you take some college courses. IID does an apprenticeship program, which they pay for, and you could get pretty good job. Pretty good salary for where we live in Imperial Valley. We also have system operators, IT specialists, Sanjero. I know Monica and Rushan, you're like, hey, what is that? Those are the guys that go around and they're opening and closing. I mean, you got to get water to everyone, right? So these are the guys that go. They work 24 hours. They go and open the canal valves and let the water flow to wherever it's needed. So that's what they do. So we got all types of jobs. Business administrators. We do have mechanics. We did have an internship program, but due to COVID-19, which is during the summer, it was canceled. But for those, we did have high school students join us. So high school students just signed a waiver. We did have college students. We actually got two, so a computer engineer and electrical engineer just hired in August that worked with us for 2 summers. One of them is working in the EMS system, and one of them is working with our planning team. We do have project management, customer service representatives, human resources, accounting, environmental science. We do have a fish farm where we genetically modify fish so they're able to manage the vegetation inside the canals. Safety and claims investigator and heavy equipment operators. Next slide, please. So here are some of the current job openings at the moment. So like an engineer 2, it's a pretty good salary considering, the area that we're in. Lineman journeyman, these are the guys, like I mentioned, that go out and try to bring the whatever element, it may be a transformer, a line that came out of service due to winds, car versus pole, anything that might happen. So these are some of the current openings that we have. And underneath there, you can see that it says the ID apprenticeship program. That's what I was talking about, where somebody coming right out of high school can apply to this ID apprenticeship program, and they pay for some college courses and training that could eventually lead to a lineman journeyman job. Next slide, please. And so next thing is maybe we have some high school students in here that don't know what engineers do or what a day without an engineer would look like. So you can see here, there's a conference call. Imagine doing how you did like in 1st or 2nd grade, having to talk to your boss through a string, have someone connect the string to whoever, if you want to talk to your boss, instead of having like an actual telephone line. You got your copy machine. Next slide, please. So here's another one. Imagine running around, doing your 10Ks, your marathons, not having an iPod, not having an iPhone to run with. Next slide. Here's another one. Kids. Imagine kids during this pandemic not having a TV. Try keeping active, drawing on these things. And then next slide. So here's a little video on what it would be like without having an electrical grid or without having electrical engineers.
Okay, that was it, right? Okay, go ahead.
I think you stopped it a little early, but that's fine. So
I'm sorry.
you get the point.
It's fine. Are you sure?
It's fine. It isn't. So you kind of get the point, right? So there's no if you didn't have the electrical, the electrical grid, everything would have to be, you have to take out your little gas tank, fill up your little ATM machine, fill out your laptop for it to work. So I mean, I'm hoping we're glad we don't have that, right? So how do we get the lights to stay on? So initially we start at the power plant where we have a turbine that's either powered by steam, coal, gas. You get your power, you step up the voltage to be able to transfer it or to move it around. You hit your tower, you hit transmission substation, which is where you redirect it to wherever you're taking it. It could be Coachella Valley, the big substations, which are at higher voltages. From there, once you start getting closer to your destination, you go into your distribution substation. So at your distribution substation, your voltage is brought down to a safer level, and then you have your power poles that take it eventually to your home where it's already at your desired voltage. So my job at IID is to keep the lights on. So if you could go to the next slide, please. So like I said, keeping the lights on, but in another sense, it's system reliability. So system reliability is our ultimate goal, is my ultimate goal as an operations engineer. So next slide, please. So some of these tasks as an operations engineer, or what does a regular day look like for an operations engineer, is we run several studies, and basically all these studies are done to help out our operators. So for example, we will run our next day studies, which give the operator a game plan for what the next day is going to look like. For example, when the days that we were going to have high winds, we ran a power flow study, letting them know, you know what, these are going to be the problem areas where you're going to have thermal violations, voltage violations, and we give them a game plan. If this happens, if this line comes out of service or this transformer overloads, this is what you have to do. You have to lower generation, increase generation, turn on some capacitors, and then we have our long-term studies, which these are 14 days out, which is if we have outages that we know are going to go longer. For example, if you have a project coming in or a new generator interconnecting, we run these long-term studies so they're able to foresee what's going to happen in the near future, or in the near future, because it's not as large of a time frame as when we run our seasonal studies, which our seasonal studies are ran for summer, fall, and spring. And so those give the operators an even bigger picture of what's going on in the system, in the IED system and in the BES system, because all this, we're all interconnected. So for example, for people who live in San Diego, IED would kind of be an equivalent to SDG&E, so that's San Diego Gas and Electric, or Southern California Edison, WAPA, it's APS, it's all the other utilities that are connected to this electrical grid. We also do a lot of real-time system modeling. So what we do is we'll model transformers, breakers, switches, generators, so that when the operator is because operators work a really arduous schedule, so sometimes they work 3 days, 12-hour shifts, and so they gotta have a way to monitor the system, and that's where we come in. So we do all the real-time system modeling for them, so that they know real-time what's happening in Coachella Valley, what's happening in Calexico substation, what is the load looking like, and then we also have our real-time continuous analysis that we maintain, which is basically what it does is it takes out every element one at a time. For n-1s, it takes it one at a time for what's going to happen. So for example, let's say it'll take out the line going from El Centro to the Imperial Valley Mall, and it'll let the operator know in the little screen, if this line were to come out of service, this is what you would see. So you would overload, maybe the line going from El Centro to terminal, or any element that might get overloaded or would cause any voltage violations. They'll be able to see that in their contingency analysis. And then the state estimator calibrations, since we have real-time data coming in, what state estimator does, it tries to catch those errors that might be coming in from telemetry. And then as part of like a day-to-day, as an engineer, sometimes you have a lot of like tedious duties that you do repetitively. So what we try to do is automate the processes. So we do a lot of, like I'll touch in a bit in the skills, is we try to automate everything so that we can spend more time not building the cases, but actually assessing the results and being able to give the operators a good plan for their next study, long-term study, and seasonal study. And there's always other duties as assigned, whatever my boss, whatever the engineer lead gives me to work on. But the ultimate goal is system reliability as an operations engineer. Some of the skills that you might require for this job, you have to be proficient in Microsoft Office. Excel, I can't express. I never took an Excel class in high school, or Excel programming, Visual Basic, but I can tell you we do use it a lot. And I don't know if the GE engineers and Marta, Vanessa, and Lazaro, I'm pretty sure that you probably use Excel a lot also. MATLAB, AutoCAD, PSpice, TFLF, which is our power flow software, or one of them, T++, Visual Basic, as I mentioned earlier, EPCL programming, and then problem solving / critical thinking. you have to be able to see the big picture, like Vanessa spoke about. You know, in airplanes, you have to see the big picture. Same thing here. You have to be able to see the big picture. Is if what happens if, you know, you have high winds here, car hit a line over here. You have to be able to see the big picture so you can give a better assessment of the system. Multitasking and communication, verbal and written. So you have to be able to communicate. This is one of the things that is like really, really important. So you got to be able to communicate effectively, and you have to be able to convey your thoughts. Either whether it's for the operators, because if you tell the operators to do something and they didn't understand you correctly and they ended up doing something else, it could cost the life of one of our troubleshooters, one of our linemen, one of our relay techs. So communication is key. And also when writing reports, engineering reports, verbal, so written, it's also a really important thing. And then next slide. And so like everyone's mentioned, I believe everyone pretty much started at a community college. I know when you're in high school, everyone tells you like, hey, you got to do the 4-year track. You got to go through your 4-year college. I was in AP, I was in GATE, and they encouraged us to go to the 4-year college. But me being a first generation college student here in the U.S., it wasn't something that I could do at the time. So I went to IVC, Imperial Valley College, and I graduated where I got my EA as a pre-engineering and math. Funny story, while I was there, so I was there from 2008 to 2009, and I finished my studies at IVC in a year, but then I messed up in a class. I was supposed to take Anthropology 100, and I took it Anthropology 102, and I wasn't able to transfer to UC San Diego at the time. So I ended up staying one more year there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I worked at the math lab during that year. Then I was able to get an internship through that year that I stayed there. I was able to get an internship with a civil engineering firm, which I kept going back through my college, through my university career. And then in 2014, I finally graduated with a BS in electrical engineering from University of California, San Diego. While I was there, they offered a extension program that would be paid for if you're an engineering student at UC San Diego. So I got my radio frequency engineering certificate. And 2014, it was a little rough. I was a little scared I wasn't going to be able to find a job. So the last couple of classes I took at UC San Diego were power classes. They usually didn't offer power, but I ended up taking their out of the 3 that was for power depth. I took 2 of them, and that's what led me into my electrical estimator job. And then that was a good job. It wasn't too much engineering based, so I kept studying for my FE, which I know it's not something that is, or your FE, or back then it was called the EIT. I know for sometimes private companies, there's something that's not told to them, or it's not something that's mentioned a lot. But if you're trying to work in the utility industry, whether it's civil or electrical, you do have to work on your FE, EIT, or your professional engineering license. In 2015, I was hired as an assistant transmission engineer at IID. And then a year later, there was an opportunity in the operations engineering group, and I applied and I was hired, and I haven't looked back from there. I love my job, and I love the flexibility it gives me, and just working with everyone, understanding the whole system as a whole, it's just amazing. And other than that's it, unless you have any questions.
Thank you so much,
Ismael. I know that was a mouthful.
No, that was really good. We do have one question from the audience. So
yes.
One campus was asking, Imperial Valley ROP is holding an advisory meeting on December 9th for Imperial Valley. So this is just for Imperial Valley. They would love to have you involved. I know this, you don't have to answer it right now. We can talk about this after this meeting.
Okay.
Oh, Vanessa
Sure.
wants to answer this question.
No, I messed up. I was trying to find it, and I'm like, where is it? Excellent. No, I do not.
Yeah, sorry, Ismael, if you want to say something.
Okay. For that question, if they want me involved, then I'm trying to look for it in the chat.
So the Imperial ROP, they're the Imperial Valley Regional Occupation Program, and they work with, I believe, Imperial County of Education. So they're putting these advisory meetings in the next couple of, like in November, December. And they, each day is a different sector, and they work with the different career technical education teachers and high schools to pretty much learn from industry what are the demands, the future demands. Again, like Rushan said, you don't have to answer now. We have your email. We can always connect, learn more about the meeting, and then send that over via email to you and see if you'd be open to it.
Yeah, sure. You can pass over my contact info, and I'd be delighted to talk to them.
Thank you.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. So I do have questions though. So, so what was the recruiting process like? So what kind of advice would you give students who are currently in college trying to get into internships or even trying to get a job? What kind of interviewing advice would you give? I know it's now all virtual, but someday we're gonna go face to face again.
Okay. So is that for me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say the resume part, that's really important. Like Lazaro mentioned, I had a couple of my friends, like I had one of my friends, he was a chemical engineer. I gave it to him so he could read my resume, and I tailored it a little bit. And I gave it to one of my, civil engineer friends. And then I had a couple of friends that were already working like at Qualcomm, and I gave them my resume and they tailored it a little bit. And I would say that's one of the, for example, for now that everything is digital, you got to send them your one page. I think the resume tailoring is really important, but also I believe researching the company. So researching the company, I believe, gives you a really, really good head start on a lot of people who just apply or go to the career fairs and they're like, hey, there's a lot of people there. I'm gonna go sign up. I'm gonna go stand in line. So researching the company, I believe, is one of the great things that could help you in landing a job. Because the company thinks, this guy did his homework. He searched us up, and it also helps out for that last question. It's like, hey, you got any questions for us? An interview that's always that. You have any questions for us? And then that way, if you research the company, you can ask a really, you can ask a question that might surprise your panelists. Catch their eye.
Thank you so much. That's really important. So proofreading and making sure that you do your homework in trying to find out the company that you're interviewing for. So I have one more question before Monica has questions for the panelists. So Ismael, what motivates you to keep going? Because from your career journey, I see that, at some point, I guess you will have to take that power classes, but would you, did you struggle a little bit wondering where you want to go for your next career? How did you overcome all that?
So I took some power classes because I had a couple of my friends that were with me in at UC San Diego, and they were getting hired by Northrop and Grumman, General Atomics, a lot of Qualcomm, and the turnaround rate was really high at that time. I don't know if it's still the same now, but they would have a job for maybe 4 or 5 months, and then they'd move over to another job, or they get fired or laid off. So that kind of led me to think, hey, I want to go into a field that's going to be a little bit more secure. And the power industry, it's not as fun, as going into radio frequency or going into aeronautical, but it's a secure field. And me being a first generation college grad, I was like, what if I graduate and I can't find a job? What am I going to do now? So that's kind of what led me to going into power, and just the sense that I felt like it was going to be a lot more secure. But once I started diving into the power systems, there's a lot to understand in the power systems.
Well, yeah. When you describe all that transmission, that transformer, that's very daunting, and it's a great responsibility. Thank you.
Yes.
I
still can't believe it.
Congratulations to you and to all of you for your career journeys. We do have one last question for all of you, Lazaro, Ismael, Vanessa, and Marta. Maybe we can start with you, Ismael. What piece of advice would you give high school and college students? What have you learned? What would have you, let me rephrase that. What do you think you could have done differently? So any piece of advice you want to leave the group?
Yes, I would say that if you're looking into an engineering field, definitely look into internships. You want to have some type of experience, even if it's not in the, let's say for example, like me, I was going into electrical, but I did civil engineering. Just being exposed to an engineering environment, working as a group, having expectations from you, just that in a sense helps out a lot. That's what I would say. So get internships. Don't just be worried about getting the grade. I mean, work on the grade, but get an internship.
That's a great piece of advice. I am a big advocate for internships, paid or unpaid. It's the knowledge that you're
Exactly,
getting paid
yeah.
with, right? Yeah,
Yep.
totally. Thank you for
Exactly.
that answer. Vanessa, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Any like piece of advice, words of wisdom?
Yes, I echo the definitely the internships. I myself did not get an internship, so I kind of lacked that experience in it. But you know, I think I was more lucky than anything. But I think nowadays it's a lot more competitive. You'll have a lot more people competing for the same role. So internships and just exposure, you know, working on those kind of showing different kind of skills on your resume. Not just, hey, you know, I can do all my math, I can do all my physics and that, but showing different skill sets, you know, any of the, if you were a member of SHIP, for instance, of the Society of Professional Engineering chapters and the student chapters, you know, showing that that can tell the story about who you are. If you have any hobbies that are, you know, building aircraft or building RC cars or anything that kind of ties you to, you know, what being an engineer is about, being curious and you know, building things, that kind of shows a lot to employers, and you know, shows a different aspect of what you love, and it shows dedication. So that's something I would say.
Totally, dedication. Thank you for that, Marta. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so my I just want to say definitely internship, but this is now. Way when I was started, I didn't have internship. That will be super helpful for me. So what I really want to say to these kids, to high school and college, is like continue your career development. I forgot to mention you guys that I got my my bachelor's and my master's degree at Sony. They give me that program. They pay me the career. They pay me those two because they want me to be more prepared, to be in part of everybody that works in the company. So what I really recommend is you guys continue to do the career. The big companies have their own culture. And if you don't if you don't put your feet in, you know, fit into the company, you're not going to know how they work. It's totally different. Be a director in a salon that be a director in a big company. This is a totally different world. You know, you can be a director, you can do marketing in a different places and legal places, and this is something, but be in a company, that's totally different. You're dealing with people with very competitive, they're very, they know everything. They ask you these questions that you're like, oh, geez. The only way that you can know is going to school, know how the world is working, and continue your career, and also networking. This is very important. I got my jobs because of networking. Sony, that it was very difficult to get in, and General Atomics too. So someone, because I know someone told me, blah, blah. So please come to this meetings, talk to people, like Monica and Richard. We're very good to, you know, like, hey, something there, and, you know, networking, I think is working very good. And of course, linking right now is, I think, is number one. It's just doing good. So go ahead, continue studying, go do your career, and but don't sleep. Continue development your career.
Thank you, Marta. And that kind of answers, before I go into you, Lazaro, there was a question, and thank you, Ismael, for answering it. Someone asked, has anyone helped you get where you are? And you guys mentioned networking. Ismael also said parents, internships, being part of a society like SHIP, for instance. So do you want to give your last piece of advice, Lazaro, for the audience?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for letting me share a couple pieces here. So I want to echo the resume portion that we've all been saying. I want to also mention and echo the networking portion but a lot of people say networking. And when you're a young student, you're like, what the heck is networking? Well, networking is essentially establishing a friendship in a professional manner with individuals that work in the same field or in the field that you want to pursue. So how do you actually network? I would suggest you going to LinkedIn, as Martha mentioned, and open up a site and look for individuals that work in corporations that you think that you're interested in possibly working in the future. I would also say follow your passion, but a lot of people are like, what the heck is passion? Well, passion is do what you like. If you like to write and write poetry, or if you like to tinker with Arduinos, create little videos and blog about them and put them in GitHub so that in the future you can reference people to those and say, hey, this is what I've been doing. And that is essentially your passion. So follow that. Also, how you actually network and get better at doing connecting with industry, go to events similar to this. Also participate in student organizations such as SWE, Society of Women Engineers, NSBE, National Society for Black Engineers, or SHIP, the Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers. You will definitely get so much beneficial information off of those, make connections, make long-lasting friends, and you can definitely tap into, for example, I belong to the organization of SHIP, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. And with that, I have vast reaches to any corporation, Intel, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, because I can connect with people with those same backgrounds via LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm interested in finding out about what you actually do at the corporation that you currently work in. Can you tell me a little more about if there's any positions open? Start that kind of conversation. That is essentially what networking is. And they'll give you a lowdown of what you need to do and where you could possibly find careers. And you can submit your resume so that they can tailor it with the lingo that you need for that particular corporation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lazaro, Vanessa, Marta, Ismael. This was a great session. We're over 2 minutes, but we really wanted to get your piece of advice for the group. This session is being recorded, and we're going to send it out to everyone that participated, and to the panelists as well, if you guys want to also share it with your family, your neighbors, etc. Rashawn and I are very, very thankful for all of the attendees for participating and all of our employers that participated in this month. So Rashawn, do you want to say anything before we close?
I think you did great. And just really thank you, Monica, and also the panelists. Both the employers this week totally killed it. You went above and beyond, even created some of our slides, Ismael. Thank you so much. And we'll be, so audiences, educators, and students will be sending out surveys. So make sure you give us your most honest but kind feedback so that we can improve ourselves and serve you better next time. Bye. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
That's all, folks.
Muchas gracias, muchachos. Thank you so much.
Gracias, Mónica. Bye.
You guys were awesome.